What up, what up, what up? I'm John Zidar. This is On Top and Hot. And today is Wednesday. It is April 9th. Today we're going to do what I like to do. We're going to talk about hot penny stocks. I'm a day trader and I primarily trade stocks under $5. And I'm always looking for a hot stock to share with you. And I've got one today, but it's not a penny stock anymore. At 2:30 it was. It was like 4.50. I knew it was going to be close. This is a recovery stock, folks. This stock fell back on the 20th of February. They had financials come out. I went through them. They look good. I don't see any problems, but the stock just fell and fell and fell. And now it is starting to bounce back. And since I really can't find a reason for it to have fallen so far, I think there's some good recovery here, some good gains to be taken. So we are talking about Funko Inc., ticker FNKO. This is a company based out of Washington. Finished today at $5.33. She is leaving Pennyville right now. She was up almost 19% today. That's 85-cent jump. This is a hot penny stock on the major exchange. She's on the NASDAQ, which means you don't have to pay for any of your transactions like you do on the OTC. You get to trade at pre-market and aftermarket, which you never get to do on the OTC. There's a heck of a lot more money and volume on the majors exchange compared to the OTC. And what's the last thing? Oh, they got a lot more rules up on the major exchange, which is a good thing. They don't have enough of those rules down in the OTC, and we're the ones that pay for it. So this keeps our investments honest. So what is Funko all about? Well, if we dive into a news press, we can get a description of the company first. They tell us here they are headquartered in Everett, Washington. Funko is a leading pop culture lifestyle brand. Funko designs, sources, and distributes licensed pop culture products across multiple categories, including vinyl figures, as well as vinyl records. They're getting back into that. Action toys, plush apparel, housewares, accessories for consumers who seek tangible ways to connect with their favorite pop culture brands and characters. These are like physical NFTs. This is just going back to old school. These are collectibles that you buy and hold in your hands. These are not electronic. These are real things that you can buy and hold. Now, I jumped over to their website to give you an idea of what we've got going on here. They kind of look like the Bobble dolls, but I don't think their heads move. Maybe they do. I don't know. But they've got all kinds of these things for all different purposes. The company is dealing with lots and lots of different companies with these products. But not just these toys. They're also dealing with, I guess you would call it apparel. They've got these knapsacks and backpacks and all sorts of little doodad purses and stuff like that. But the company does a heck of a lot more than that. When I was diving around getting information, I found this in the most recent filing. This is an investor presentation. It's like a brochure. Breaks down all the information about the company. And there's a lot here, folks, and we're not going to go through it all. But I would suggest you do, because I can't touch on to everything that they do. But I'm going to share a little bit of it with you right now. Funko is a leading pop culture consumer products company. Funko is at the center of a rapidly growing collectible market segment, leveraging an industry-leading portfolio of licenses to connect fans with what they love across key growth areas like entertainment, sports, music, and gaming. We are uniquely positioned to scale in an area when self-expression, creativity, and fandom are more powerful than ever. Now, they tell us down here that they have got over 900 active licenses right now. They are dealing with movies, TV companies, music industry, sports, anime, and gaming. And look at the names. You recognize most of these names. Then down here, they tell us they are selling these. They're not just selling them online, they're selling them in brick and mortar as well. So they've got these things out there everywhere. Now, I wanted to show you one other thing before I leave here. As I said, they've got lots of information. They are dealing with all sorts of things. Anybody that wants to have a little doll made of them, maybe it could be a musical band. You go to a concert and you could buy a whole bunch of these little dolls based on your band members. They want to get involved with all of this, and they've got a lot going on, and they're making a lot of money doing it. Now, when we take a look at the news, there is not a lot of news to consider, but I do want to take a look at the financial. This is what came out. This came out after the financials came out. The financials came out, I do believe, on the 23rd of February, and the stock started to fall on the 20th. And after the financials came out, it just kept falling. Now, I have gone through all the filings. I've gone through all the news. I have not found anything bad anywhere, so I don't have any clue why it fell so hard. They tell us that from their quarterly financials, their net sales were $293.7 million compared to $291 million. So they were up a little bit. That's good. Their full year financials, net sales were just a little over $1 billion, but they were down just a little bit from last year. Gross profit, however, was $434 million compared to $333 million last year. So they're way up on that. Net loss was about $15 million this year compared to net loss of $154 million last year. That's a big improvement. They tell us here that 2024 was a pivotal year for Funko. We strengthened our business, delivered on key financial goals, and positioned the company for long-term success. We closed the year strong, with Q4 net sales up 1% and at the top end of our guidance range. For the full year, both gross profit and adjusted EBITDA improved by more than $100 million, and we reduced total debt by $90 million. Now let's take a look at that news. I want to share with you what I was looking at over here. None of the news is bad. There's no hot water from NASDAQ or anything. Right here, that is February 20th. Funko to host 2024 fourth quarter financial results. So they announced this on the 20th. That's when the stock started to fall. Then they bring in a senior vice president. Then they talk about their earnings preview. And then I just read it right here. Nothing here. There's no bad news between here and there. And then when you come up, all we've got is a piece of good news that came out at the end of March, where Funko is making these little dolls for some author named Lauren Roberts. They're making dolls of her bestseller Powerless series, and there's 3 characters in that book that they're making dolls out of. But there's no bad news. So as far as I can see, there's no reason for this not to come up unless I miss something. Now, agreed, the financials are a lot more than what we were just looking at. And there may be something in there. I may have missed it. But as far as I can see, folks, this is doing well. And when you see their financials, you'll see just how well they're doing. Let's take a look at the relative volume for Funko today. Little bit down. She's been doing like 1.3 million shares as an average a day over the last 30 days. Today, we were just over a million, down about 300,000 shares. Share structure for Funko. Outstanding share count isn't bad. We got about 53 million, 54. Insiders, I'm sure they own something, but I don't know what it is. Subtract that from the outstanding share count, and that'll give you our float. I don't know what it is. But I do know it can't be any higher than the outstanding share count. So our float can't be any worse than 53.8 million and could be considerably less. Market cap for the company right now is $241 million. We are just shy of $250 million. Financials. I was kind of impressed here. Selling dolls, they're doing $1 billion a year. That's good money, and they're pulling in strong profits every year. At the end of 2024, we were just under $500 million in profit with $434 million in the bank. Looking at the quarterlies, strong. We're doing just shy of $300 million every 3 months, and the profits are strong as well. Everything looks really good financially. Looking at our balance sheet, remembering the 3 zeros, we got to add 3 zeros to any of the numbers on these charts. Sorry if I confused you. Cash and cash equivalents, what I think of as the bank, we got about $35 million in the bank. Total assets, we're at $707 million. Liabilities is less than that, $474 million. So we've got positive stockholder equity just shy of $250 million, $233 million. So we've got strong stockholder equity, very strong revenues, lots of profit, and the financials look good. Have we seen anything bad yet? No, we haven't. Last thing to consider are those disclosures. This 8K right here is where you'll find that deck, that digital brochure we were just looking at. That is inside that 8K. That's where you'll find it. I went through all of these Form 4s to see if there was any sells or buys. Form 4s are filed whenever the insiders acquire or dispose of the company's stock. And they can do that in a lot of different ways, but we're most interested when they buy them or sell them. Those can be indicators that something's going to happen one way or the other. Well, these up here, there were a couple sales, but they had something to do with a deal that they were involved with back in 2019. But it wasn't big numbers. I'm not too concerned about that. Then we have a purchase here from a director. He bought himself 15,000 shares. And then the rest of these are something else. They are not buys. They are not sells. But what I wanted to show you was the filings here by their date. Here is February 14th. And there is March 6th. We have no filings here to be causing this to fall. There was no news to come out. So whatever it was, it's over my head. I'm missing it, or there wasn't a reason. In any case, she's bouncing back now, folks. She's found a floor, and I think there's a lot of recovery to take. I don't know how much of it she's going to take, but I think there's gains to be taken, and that's what we're looking for. Let's go take a look at Funk. What do you say we get funky with Funko? We're going to take a look at Funko Inc., ticker FNKO. We're going to do it on my free trading platform, Think or Swim. Got this opened up to a 1-day, 1-year chart. As you can see, she has been in an uptrend most of the year. A year ago in April, we were at a low of about $5.50. She hit a 52-week high in January of $14.65. Jumped up and down on top of the 200 haul here until they mentioned they were going to be reporting financials, and she started to fall. They reported financials and she continued to fall. Taking a break here at about $7.15 and then continuing her fall down to our 52-week low of $4.31. And though you can't see it here, she is now starting to bounce. Our oscillators are pretty weak. Our PPO is falling. Our ADX has got all the weakness up at the top. We don't want it there. Our MACD is flatlining way underneath our signal line. And our RSI, I can report, is rising hard and fast. The problem is she's underneath the 30. This is the basement floor. So she went digging into the ground, created a cellar. So she's coming out of the cellar right now into the basement. But she is climbing. Let's take a look at our 6-month, 4-hour view. Well, there's our uptrend. She's bouncing off of that 200, took a dip here, and then ran up to that 52-week high of $14.80, it says here. Bounced on the 200 MA and then fell away. Down to that 713 and then down to 431. And as I said, right now she is starting to bounce. She's starting to come back up. We had volume come into the picture at the end of the day. And look at our ADX. We have a reversal happening right now. Our green line is getting on top of the red line. Whichever line is on top is the dominant trend, green for the uptrend, red for the downtrend. And then the yellow line tells you how strong the dominant trend is. The higher up the graph it is, the more strength there is. Right now, our uptrend is growing into strength. Our MACD is starting to come into power. It is crossing over right now, and our RSI is climbing. We are now out of the cellar, out of the basement, and we're up here at 45. Though I don't like to see it any less than 55. It is coming up. That's what we're looking for. Taking a look at our 20-day, 1-hour view. So we've got a high here of $7.85 as she is just going sideways on that support I drew of $7.15. When she fell away, she came down to that 431 directly. She is bouncing right now. She is getting herself on top of the 50. So what we're going to be looking for here, folks, is a 200 squeeze. We've got our 200 MA at the top, falling. we've got our 200 haul on the bottom falling. The price is in the middle, getting on top of the 50, which is the launch pad. When that 200 haul turns up and starts to climb with the 200 MA above, that will launch the price. If it is sitting on the 50, most likely it is going to push to and through the 200. Well, right now we're down here at $5.22 roughly, and our 200 is up there at $6.71 with that strong resistance at $7.15. So I think we've got to push at least right in this area for $1.52. But she could go a lot further, folks. She fell a long ways for no apparent reason. See all the volume that was coming in at the back half of the day, continuing after market, still pushing up. Now we are seeing some strength in our oscillators. Our PPO is a crossover. Once that gets on top of the pink line, it's going into strength. Our ADX is already in strength. Our green line is all the way at the top, red line all the way at the bottom, and the yellow line is saying that our dominant trend is getting stronger. MACD has a crossover happening right now, coming up with lots of green bars accumulating, and now our RSI is all the way up at 60, looking very strong. Take a look at our 5-day, 15-minute. So there's our downtrend. We were at $7 here, rolling down on our 200, which is just now gone flat, folks, completely. What did we have here? A 200 squeeze, a perfect one, folks. Falling 200 MA, falling 200 haul. Price in the middle, gets on top of the 50. Once it turned blue, once my 200 haul started to climb, what happened? Immediately, she jumped up back to the 9. Big bars now. Look at how tiny these bars were. Then we get these humongous bars as she starts ripping and climbing to and through the 200. Now, normally I would expect it to come back to the 200. She fell to the 20, and she is still pushing. Folks, the fact that she did not break the 20 and come back down, that says to me she's got a lot of strength. She wants to continue climbing. This looks really, really good to me. Look at our volume. It started at mid-afternoon, and it's getting hotter and hotter. After market, it's getting more attention now than it has had for a very long time. All of our oscillators are pumping up right now and getting strong. All of our MAs have just crossed the 200, and our 200 is just now starting to climb. Everything looks like it's in recovery. We're going to get some back. I can't tell you it's going to go all the way to 14. I can't tell you it's going to go to 10. What I can tell you is you need to get your supports and resistances drawn, right? We come over here and we start finding places where the price hesitated. Each one of these is a support and resistance. I can see things sitting there, right? And you can do this on the 1 hour and all that. You can even go back further if you need to. But this is where we're looking. There's another one there. We got another one there. So we got a bunch of them. We got one there at 558, 703, 778, 876, 1014, 1112. Dum 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 dum. So I like FNKO, folks. She had a huge fall for no apparent reason. Nothing could be found. If you find something, do me a favor, post it in the comments so I can share it with everybody else. Appreciate your time. I hope this works out for us. Remember, folks, the more you know, the more you're going to grow. See ya.